Today I bring you my ultimate plug and play 4-3-3. That is right, every single game has been hand played by myself, and we're going to watch footage as well. So for those that don't believe me, you've got to see everything. But if you do enjoy the tactics of this channel, be sure to leave a like, drop a little subscription below, because we are pushing for 20k, and leave some comments below on any future tactics you want to see. So as the gameplay emerges in the background, it is going to be a montage of every single game hand played and hand recorded. Obviously you can see the subs I make, the systems I go through, and it is going to include a tactic in this video, so do not be put off by it. But I just have a little talk about the tactics. In my opinion, I wanted to do this for some time now, because I've seen the comments, very few compared to the hundreds, if not thousands, of lovely ones we get. So maybe some people are like, oh, this tactic doesn't work, etc, etc. I ask them, I find out their issues, and I'm like, yeah, this is why it's not working. So what I'm going to do when this is going on in the background is I'm going to have a little conversation about what you should be doing when you're downloading tactics, how I set up my tactical tests, and also much more. So just to clarify, get it right out in the open, we're going to go right into the stats after these highlights, and we're going to explain the positives, the ups, and the downs. But it's no secret in the FM scene that holiday results are very different to obviously playing the games. But as you can understand, as a full-time creator, even me being full-time, I can't be playing 4 different seasons for a video in terms of playing with 4 different teams across them seasons. So that is virtually impossible. So holiday does have to be used. Now, what I'm trying to put forward to you guys here is if you do enjoy looking at me actually play the games, whether that be really fast sped up versions or what you would like, please do let me know in the comments, because I'm happy to go down this path, but it would mean going from testing with 4 teams down to a potential 1, if not maximum 2, or maybe 1 played, 1 simmed. Please let me know in the comments. But this way I'm just going to showcase what you can actually get from this tactic. I've played every single game, so I know the results I got are completely accurate. Now, in terms of how I set the save up, I did nothing to the staff. I signed no players with this Manchester United team. Why did I choose United? I support the team in real life. And in terms of going on holiday, it wasn't even used. So I literally went into every single game. The training was set up by the assistant, didn't even have training in place. Now, what I will say is when you download tactics from the internet, whether that be from my channel, other channels, or other websites, for example, you need to pay attention for quite a few things. So, for example, player roles is a big one. Some tactics might have a unique player role which your player can't play. Playing your player in an uncomfortable position is going to cost him. It's probably why he's not playing well in the tactic. Also, you've got to make sure you're resting players, training players, etc, etc. And simply, some tactics just don't work for your team. That's got to be accepted. So I'm hoping having a video like this is going to educate people, and also I can release a tactic which I believe to be plug and play, because I've literally plugged it and played it. Well, made it, plugged it, then played it, and got these results. We had a very good season, won the double, so we are going to talk over which double we did actually win, because it might not be the one you're thinking. And yeah, let's go into the results now. I feel like I've had enough waffling, but I do want to quickly say, as we carry on watching these highlights, I will say there is a massive giveaway going on the Patreon, a £50 PayPal giveaway. So I will leave a link in the description to sign up. Any paid members get to enter. That starts off at £2, so it's potentially a nice little profit for you. So I'll leave it in the description below if you are interested. But let's go over and see how the season actually was. And this is going to be the season then. With Manchester United, every single game has been hand played. Now, what I noticed right away compared to holiday and obviously playing the games yourself, you don't necessarily score as many goals. I know this because I did actually run this exact same tactic in a holiday tester, and we scored getting on for around about 30-40 more goals in the season. So that is definitely something to consider. It is going to be big man Rasmus Højlund, who I had a ton of fun playing with, picking up 27 goals across all competitions, which is actually quite good, to be honest. It's then going to be Christian Eriksen coming in with 13 assists, which surprised me because in the games I was subbing him off quite a lot, to be honest with you. Onana had an absolute fantastic season, a 96% pass completion, and Marcus Rashford, yeah, he was on absolute flames. In terms of the stats though, absolute dominance. I mean, 78 goals scored is quite an impressive number, and only 20 goals conceded. So this tactic is actually genuinely solid. It's going to look a little bit more different than your average 4-3-3, and that is because I took a lot of inspiration from what player roles are actually the best for the players in the team. Something you should be doing as well. Now, in terms of the trophies we won, it's going to be the Premier League, and you're probably thinking, Josh, hang on, you've still got some games to play. Essentially, there's no point playing the games because we've already won it. We had the trophy lift. The points are in our favour. Man City, Liverpool, quite close to us. Obviously did lose a fair few games, and maybe Man City probably could have beat us there as well. But we've won the league. I'm not going to play when I don't need to. And we also do win the Carabao Cup against Leicester. Unfortunately, in the Champions League, it was by 1 goal, and it was a penalty. That is going to be RB Leipzig that do knock us out, which I'm not too happy about, but it is the game. The game's the game. And the FA Cup, again, it comes in a very tricky part of the season when you're sort of merging Premier League games, Carabao Cup games, and FA Cup games all together. And in the first season with no signings, you've got to sacrifice one of them. And I sacrificed that, I'm not going to say I purposely lost, but obviously I had to sacrifice one. We were already quite far in the Carabao Cup, and the Premier League's the main focus. So overall, I'm very happy. We're going over to the squad then. It is going to be 27 from Rasmus Højlund, 15 for Martial, 12 for Rashford, Fernandes with 9, 7 for Varane, mostly from set pieces to be fair, 7 for Anthony, 4 for Sancho, Garnacho with 3. The wingers not really scoring as much as what I would like, but at the end of the day, when you've got, obviously, well, to be fair, Rashford, Martial did play a little bit on the wing as well. So to be fair, it is actually quite good. 13, 11, 11, 8. Super happy about that. Quite a few players getting involved with the assists. Obviously, if you watch these tactic videos in depth, you know that's one of my real sort of lookouts for a tactic. I want players to be very good on the ball and not only get the assists as a group, but also score goals as a group. And although it is going to be, obviously, Rasmus Højlund picking up the bulk, there is still going to be, obviously, 1, 2 players with 10 plus goals, then a 9, then a couple of 7. So it is really, really good to see. What I'm going to do now, like a usual tactic video sort of vibe is, we've got to watch a couple of the games actually in full length now. So let's go and do that. Obviously, one of the easier games, you might have saw it very quickly sped up in them highlights. That is going to be the 6th win over Luton at home. Just showcasing this to purely show you some of the goals we were scoring. And throughout the entire season, I was tweaking, whether that be player roles or actual team instructions. So please do pay attention to that as well, as we are going to give you the finalised variant. And the importance of me showcasing this style of video now and then, whether you guys, you know, if you guys want to see this more often, please let me know again. But obviously the importance of this is to show you how much actually goes into making a tactic and also just explaining the thought process behind it. So ideally, what I would say is if you want to see this actually live in the flesh, do come over to the live streams. You can see it on the screen right now. It's the best place to come and actually watch me live, ask any questions and see the results first person. This was quite a dramatic game. We actually did win it on penalties against Leicester in the Carabao Cup, obviously balancing it around the other fixtures towards the sort of middle part of the season. And it was a very good goal from Bruno Fernandes actually into the bottom left corner in the 85th minute. And obviously, I thought, you know what, I've won this. But no, FM, in typical FM fashion, comes back to bite us, and it is a good goal from them, to be fair. Down the right-hand side, back into the middle, and it's a bit of a weird one to concede at your near post like that, but at the end of the day, it did have a little bit of venom, we've got to be real. The penalty shootout, to be honest, was quite good. Only one penalty got missed, and luckily that was by Leicester City. The quality of the penalties, though, was absolutely sublime, obviously from our players, and credit to them, also to Leicester City. But unfortunately, they bottled it in the last penalty, which you are going to see very shortly. I actually forget who missed the penalty for them now, but us pretty much flawless, or actually 100% flawless. Anthony there with a great prayer, and Dewsbury Hall steps up, he does score, so the next penalty taker after a Goulon. Good penalty from him. It is going to be... Oh, does it even showcase it? There we go. So, let's get into your favourite part of the video as per. That is going to be the tactical breakdown. If you're enjoying so far, be sure to leave a like, drop a little subscription, and be sure to comment on any other plug-and-play tactics you want to see, as long as I can get them to work. And also, any manager replications, requests, whatever you want to see, let me know in the comments. But let's go over and talk about these player roles then. So, we are going to kick things off with the goalkeeper, who, obviously, it is going to be based off Onana. So, I wanted to have a little bit of an aggression side to him. Not attacking, so we went with a support sweeper keeper. Somehow nearly stumbled that out. The wing back, obviously that is going to be majority of the time Diego Dallo. I do sort of prefer him over Aaron Wan-Bissaka, although pretty much 10-15 games into the season, Aaron Wan-Bissaka did cement a first team spot because he was really, really good going forwards and also defensive wise. But we kept him on the default, to be honest with you, because we don't really need anything extra on him. He's got to get further forwards anyway and get involved in the play, so I didn't really need to change it. In the middle, we're going to have a ball playing defender on defend, simply on the default. Originally, on the left-hand side, I did have a central defender. But then what I do is, and it's a great bit of advice for you guys as well, is to click this option here and go to pick roles and duties, because this is going to showcase the best roles that your players can play the most comfortable in. Obviously, you need to make tactics based around that. You can't simply just do that and go, but it does give you a bit of a rough indicator for your current team, so that's a little tip for you. The central defender, though, was a little bit of a waste, so I had two ball-playing defenders. Martinez and Varane can both play that role really, really well. The left-back was obviously Luke Shaw, played a massive part in the season, did pick up a fair few injuries, as in Luke Shaw fashion, but he enjoyed quite a good season, despite the injuries anyway, and he is simply going to be on get further forwards on support. In the midfield, a ball-winning midfield player comes in on support, again, nice and simple, and exactly the same on the right-hand side. Now, what I will say is these did get changed a little bit throughout the game. You'll see it in the tweaks quite sped up. But on the left-hand side, or to be honest, on both if we were really desperate. I would have take more passing risks on to really get the ball moving forward, but the reason we went with 2 ball-winning midfield players is because we had 2 players in the likes of Casemiro, McTominay, for example, Amrabat, that all played the role really, really well. So that's why I favoured with 2 of them. I wanted to go with something a little bit different in the midfield, apart from your classic 4-3-3, and that's where I got Bruno Fernandes involved. Now, at the start, this was actually a box-to-box, and it was working, but then I realised sort of in the bigger games, we didn't really have enough to actually break down the teams. So I thought, do you know what? We'll try an advanced playmaker coming in on support, simply on the default instruction. Now, what I will say is, and one thing which I'm going to point out very, very quickly, is this changes a lot. So when I was, for example, struggling for a goal, I was adding the likes of roam from position, dribble more on, possibly even changing him to attack. That comes down to the in-game scenario which you're going to be facing. So, for example, when I was playing a very small team and I was dominating but couldn't get the breakthrough, that was one of the first things I was looking to change. The wingers, I did add quite a few instructions on because Jadon Sancho and Rashford have both got very good finishing, and that is going to be cut inside because this way, when they do get the ball, they are obviously going to drift inside, meaning when the wing-backs overlap, they're not going to sort of both be out there being useless, if that makes sense. We're going to shoot more often and also tackle harder, and on the right-hand side, it's going to be exactly the same. And to finish it off, the cherry on top, the advanced sword on attack on shoot more often. Again, this role here didn't really get changed too much to striker. I kept him as an advanced sword the whole time. The midfield, I've explained the sort of changes, the most common ones. Of course, we are going to have 3 variants, so again, do stick around for the video for that, because I've done my best to sort of showcase the exact variant I would have been switching to if it was sort of, you know, there to switch to in one click. Obviously, when I was playing the games, I was doing click, 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 but I have saved that time for you guys today. So let's go over the team instructions for this sort of default tactic and then discuss the other ones. So now, again, you're going to see me tinker around with the team instructions quite a fair bit in today's video, which you probably saw at the start, but I will talk this through. This is not going to be the final product, just to clarify, because to be honest, there wasn't really a final product. It comes down to a lot of stuff that happens in your games when you are playing everything. This remained the same all the time, so did pass into space majority of the time. I did select overlap left and overlap right when I was trying to go a bit more attacking and really get them fullbacks involved, but as a general rule of thumb, I would simply keep it as it is now with just play out from the back, because we've got 2 ball playing defenders and they're all quite good at passing, so it made sense to have that on. Now, this is all based off, by the way, a tiki-taka style on the positive mentality, just to clarify that. I went with a much shorter passing directness. Now, very rarely, but sometimes I did do it, so I will talk about it. I did actually whack this up to slightly shorter, and obviously that goes much more of a bit more of a direct approach. Not too direct, but a little bit more sort of a less tiki-taka style. But most of the games did remain on much shorter, so I would keep it as that. The tempo I did tinker around a little bit with, but to go into the games at least, it is going to be on slightly higher, and it is going to be mixed crosses in the final third. In transition, I'm not really going to waste your time because it's quite straightforward, to be honest. Counter press, counter, distribute quickly, distribute to the centre-backs, and short goal kicks. Now, obviously, if you are a goal up and you're trying to seal out that game, you're not going to get the ball moving quickly, but we're going to go over that in a defensive variant anyway. Possession, this was probably the most changed sort of line ever, because we played with quite a big variety over the season in different scenarios, but to go into the games at least and actually, you know, take the game to them, we went with a higher defensive line, the high press line of engagement much more often, and prevent short goalkeeper distribution. Over to the attacking variant. Now, this is by far sort of the tactic I did switch to a fair bit if it was like a 0-0 against a small team, or whether we were actually losing a game and I need to get back into the game itself. Now, obviously, you might see in the speed up highlights that sometimes a little bit different to what you're going to see now, but this is the most common changes I made, so I thought I'd make it a variant to make it very easy on you guys. Obviously, Patreons can get all of these in one simple download. If not, you can simply copy it on the video. So the goalkeeper does remain the same. The wing backs, and in fact everyone across that back line, actually remains untouched. This is where things do get in, so I actually added 1. I'm not going to go with both all the time because that is really for emergencies, but the ball in the midfield player is going to have to take more risks come in, and this is simply just to get him passing the ball, not to be too safe to the point where we're not going to get the ball moving, just to get him actually playing the ball. In the middle, as I discussed in the default variant, the advanced playmaker does go on to attack, simply on the default instruction. If that's not enough for you, you can obviously have roam from position and tell him to get further forwards, but for me, just having him pushed up a little bit higher made all the difference, and the front 3 is going to remain the same because it is naturally very attacking. Possession, and I will say the mentality is now going to go to attacking. This is where you're going to see a bit more of a mixture, and you'll see me select this a lot of the time, and that is because I've got players in the team that can crack a ball. Bruno Fernandes, Rasmus Højlund, Sancho, Rashford, Anthony. All players that have got quite good finishing stats. And for some reason, with this team, it was working really well. And we were scoring quite a fair few goals outside the box. So I thought, do you know what? We've got to have shoot on sight. And it worked really efficiently. So personally, I had pass into space, playing out from the back, much shorter with the directness, a higher tempo, really maxed out the tempo, be more expressive, run up defence, and shoot on sight with the mixed crosses. Now, what I was seeing is a team that was working very hard to get the ball back, were counter-attacking with absolute rapid speed, but also not afraid to shoot. They were not afraid to shoot, and we were scoring so many goals on the outside of the box. In transition, I'm not even going to waste your time. It is literally exactly the same. And out of possession, the much higher line is for your choice. Now, I did use this a couple of times when it was squeaky bum time. I'm talking, you know, the last 5 to 10 minutes of the game. I needed a goal desperately. I did get it in. Obviously, I did max it out, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and get stuck in, etc., etc. This is probably the most attacking you're ever going to get this tactic, so I wouldn't do it unless you are desperate for a goal in the last 5 or 10 minutes. I would actually go in with just the high defensive line, but if you are really desperate, you can obviously push it up to the max. And lastly, this is the defensive variant. Now, to be honest, I didn't really go into many games with this. I actually kept it quite basic going into the games. I went into every game with that default variant and got a feel for the game once I was in there. What I will say is, I did play this way quite a fair bit in the actual games when I was maybe in charge of a game in a 1-0 lead, or for example, the ball-winning midfield player, on defend. That is just an addition I've now done because I think it would have been a better option and potentially would have helped me not bottle the lead against Leicester in that Carabao Cup. But the goalkeeper remains the same, the wing-back the same, both ball-playing defenders the same. In fact, it's actually an unchanged back four. The midfield obviously is going to look very, very similar. A supportive ball-winning midfield player alongside of a defensive ball-winning midfield player. The AP remains on the default on supports, and the wingers actually all drop to support on the default, because this way they are going to be attacking, obviously, but they are also going to help defend and not be overcommitted on shooting, shots at goal, or, cutting inside, taking on the whole team. And to finish it off, the advanced four does remain unchanged because Højlund had a sensational season. I didn't really want to take anything away from him, and Martial, to be fair. Hats off to Martial, by the way. Leave a little like for him because he had a fantastic season. And that is going to give you your player roles. Let's go to the team instructions. Going over to the team instructions, we are going to base this again off the positive mentality. So it is still quite an aggressive tactic in terms of you are going to score goals this way, but it is just also to seal out a game and defend, but not to the point where it's all about, just low block, for example, every man behind the ball. We still are going to have a little bit about ourselves. Now, it is going to be pass into space, play out from the back, much shorter, a slightly lower tempo, so we're not going to be too aggressive while winning the ball back. Time waste is going to be set to frequently, dribble less, and mixed crosses. Transition is going to be very, very limited, but counter press, because we do obviously want to take the game to them and still have a threat in the game and show that we actually, are here to try and win, not just sit back and get battered. So that is going to remain on, and we're going to distribute to the centre-backs while taking short goal kicks. Lastly, you probably saw me whip it out quite a fair bit. That is going to be the mid-block line of engagement. Very efficient for defending a game out alongside of that standard line, the much more often, and prevent short goalkeeper distribution. But that is going to give you free plug-and-play 4-3-3 deep. I like to say that because it's not your average 4-3-3, and I might one day make a balanced 4-3-3 with obviously a higher up sort of position. But if you guys do enjoy these style of videos, you want to see this more often, you want to see me actually play one season instead of holidaying all the results, I'm more than happy to do so. I just want to make content you guys enjoy. Obviously, the bulk load of you, I'd say 93%, 94%, absolutely love the usual style. But I want to try and do my best to cater for everyone. So let me know by leaving the like on the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel as well. And yeah, get comment on what your honest thoughts are. Whether you want to see this, a mixture, whatever you wish, and I'll do my best. But obviously, it can be difficult when everyone's commenting and a sort of like do holidays, do plays, whatever it is. I'll try my best. But hopefully you have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you boys in the next one. And if you guys did enjoy today's video, here are going to be a couple more videos I'm sure you're going to love. Down here, you're going to see my previous video, and here is going to be a video I personally recommend for you guys to check out. Trust me, you're going to love it.